A lot of people are using the word narcissist excessively. It's important to know that not everyone who displays narcissistic tendencies has narcissistic personality disorder. Most of us probably know people that may tend to be self absorbed or someone that's egotistical. We all know somebody that tends to be kind of selfish acting. The word narcissist is being used to describe these type of people, and it's being tossed around so casually that it's watering down and taking away from the extreme nature of a true narcissist and narcissistic personality disorder. So it's common for people to exhibit some narcissistic traits. Um, People might, you know, be prone to seek attention or validation. This doesn't mean they necessarily have a personality disorder. In fact, many people display these traits to varying degrees, and it's normal. It's a normal part of human behavior. Individuals with narcissistic personality disorder, however, take these traits to an extreme. NPD can be dangerous. It is dangerous. It's psychologically abusive, sometimes physically abusive, because individuals that have narcissistic personality disorder lack empathy. They disregard others' feelings and needs. And this is also how you define a sociopath. I bring that up because I think when you use the term sociopath, it helps explain the level of narcissism I'm referring to in my stories. It takes away from the watered down version of, oh, they're a narcissist that we are hearing so often. Narcissistic sociopaths are not people to take lightly. It's not someone to just dismiss as a person that thinks highly of themselves or may be vain. A sociopath, again, is someone that disregards others. They lack empathy. They use intelligence, they use charm, they use charisma to manipulate others. They practice impulsive behaviors, and they may attempt to control others with threats or aggression. Narcissistic personality disorder is a mental health condition. It affects how people relate to other people, how the narcissist relates to others. It's estimated that maybe only about 1% of the population has this disorder. However, for me, considering how readily I've encountered and entered into relationships with people that had varying levels of NPD, I'm willing to bet the number of undiagnosed individuals is much, much higher. I mean, of course, it's a lot of people that have not sought attention, help for this disorder. So how do you know if you're dealing with a real narcissist? I'm going to share 10 of some of the tactics they use to manipulate. If they're using, a lot of these tactics, chances are you are in a MPD entanglement. Before we go into the 10 tactics or some of the tactics they use, I want to share a little bit more about why narcissists are dangerous. So people with NPD, again, they have exaggerated sense of self-importance and entitlement. This leads them to believe that they are above the law, they can act without consequence, and they have no consideration for how that affects you or anyone else. So my father, who I've shared, was an extreme narcissist in other videos. Another one of his quotes would be, "There's no such thing as right or wrong. Only my thinking makes it so." You know, so we would go back and forth when he would say things like this, and we would discuss different moral philosophy models. So my father's thinking and his category of wrong changed from day to day. It was not stable because he changed it to fit whatever it was he was pursuing or doing so that he was always in the right. This caused a lot of harm and pain to other people. And to me, when you're causing harm and pain to others, there's no question about it. You're doing something wrong. There's something wrong in that. Um, Narcissists engage in behaviors that are not only harmful to themselves, but they engage in behaviors that are harmful to you. And that's absolutely no issue to them. When narcissists engage in risky behavior, you are not a consideration at all. People with NPD manipulate and exploit other people for their own gain. They engage in very risky behaviors, um, something such as multiple sexual partners, multiple unprotected sexual partners. And when I say multiple, the amount of side situations and triangulation can be shocking. So do not be surprised also if a narcissist engages in closeted behavior. Um, with narcissists, their exaggerated need for admiration sometimes is not limited to one gender, and they are too deceptive to be honest about this. So, people with NPD are not really able to form true, healthy, honest, meaningful relationships. And this is due to their inability to empathize with other people. They just, they're not going to take responsibility because no one else matters. Um, they, however, know how to disguise. They are masters of disguise and great actors. They can make you believe and deceive you into thinking you are involved in something deep and real. People with NPD may be prone to mood swings. They may have emotional outbursts. I experienced this big time in my last relationship. One minute we'd be out on a lovely dinner date, that's something that he planned. And then the next minute, suddenly out of nowhere, he would be yelling at me or starting an argument. I learned to get quiet, to not, to try to keep things on an even keel so there would be no argument. He might be arguing about something like me not changing a tire when he suggested to a year prior to, our dinner date. So a lot of times these outbursts would happen after he was drinking or using some covert pity party tactic. This camouflaged what was really triggering the mood swings. These arguments, I later came to realize, were part of manipulation tactics as well. Again, it's a kind of a form of gaslighting. You can never get stable and grounded and realize, okay, this is stable ground. It's always, well, what's happening? It's called cognitive dissonance, and I'm going to talk more about cognitive dissonance. It's important to be aware of the tactics that are used to manipulate and control you. So, like I said, there are 10 common tactics that I want to talk about today. The first one, we've all heard about it. I just mentioned, is gaslighting. This tactic involves making a victim question their own reality by denying facts and manipulating the truth. Guys, I'll go into more detail because it's the gaslighting, the cognitive dissonance that drives you insane. The next one is love bombing. They show attention, they give compliments, they give gifts early in the romance, early in the stages of your relationship. They do this to gain your trust and to gain your affection. They can be the most beautiful relationship early on, the most beautiful people. Triangulation, as I mentioned. Narcissists almost always have other situations. They live double, triple lives. They have other situations, and they do this. They add these third, fourth, fifth parties to create drama and tension in a relationship. It also aids in their devaluing and discarding of you. The next one is projection. Narcissists will often project their own flaws, they'll project their insecurities onto you, and they make you feel either guilty or responsible for whatever the problems that are occurring are. Um, Isolation. Well, back to the projection, again, they'll make it seem as if you've done something or you're not enough, and that's why you guys are possibly having issues. Devaluation comes after the love bombing phase. Narcissists may begin to devalue you and criticize you constantly. Complain, again, the projection. They do this to maintain power and control. Silent treatment is another tactic they use. Narcissists will use the silent treatment as a form of punishment. They will withdraw their affection, they will withdraw communication, and they make you feel powerless. They will also use projection once you start to question why they are discarding or devaluing you. Narcissists will hoover and try to win you back after a breakup or an argument. Um, often they'll make fake promises, and they do the hoovering phase a lot of times after the discard phase. So that's the cycle. There's a cycle that I'm going to talk about in another video. Narcissists do this technique called shelving, where they will never leave the relationship being honest and letting you know it's not working. This is what's happening. This is the truth. You will always have a question and the gaslighting and trying to figure out what's happening. And that when they do discard, they suddenly out of nowhere will abruptly break up with you, or leave the situation, and you're left wondering what just happened. So that is shelving a lot of times until they're completely ready to discard you, and then that's that. But shelving, when they get ready to come back around, you remember the love bombing. Oftentimes you cannot explain what happened to end the relationship, why you were discarded. A lot of times they've used projection to end the relationship or to make it seem as if it's something you're doing. You've been gaslighted, so you're questioning the reality. That way it leaves it open for whenever they get ready to use hoovering, you're willing and accepting and allow them to come back because you've gone through this psychological warfare, this psychological manipulation. Um, so, those that have experienced narcissism and NPD firsthand have the greatest ability to walk you through healing when you have gone through abuse with narcissists. You can't just read about this experience in a textbook to understand it. It is very difficult for many people to convey what they are experiencing so others understand the severity. So, again, for me, the most harmful part of relationships with people with NPD is defined by a term called cognitive dissonance. I'm going to go into detail about cognitive dissonance in videos to come. And I'm also going to continue my personal story of the cycles of NPD abuse that I've experienced. Um, with my story, I did, like I said, I'm starting from the beginning. So I did leave off at 16, my first love, after my father sent me through a discard cycle, one of the first, one of the first of many discard cycles. So if you know someone that may be going through NPD abuse, or if you yourself are going through NPD abuse, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that you know when the next video goes up. Thank you so much for watching. As always, don't lose, your ability to love. You can't lose when you love. With every action, do it through love.